Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today we are here to talk about the brand new Shane Dawson and Jeffree star collaboration. So if that is something you're interested in watching, you're in the right place. We're about to get into it.
I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf.
All right, you guys. So much anticipated, long awaited Shane Dawson and Jeffree star collaboration. So, you know, guys, honestly, the one thing I think is so different and unique about this particular collaboration is that we actually got to go along the journey with this one. We got to see the idea become like born in the last series that these two did together, and then we got to see them pursue that idea throughout the course of this past series that they've done together. And it's been very interesting. It's been very eye-opening, especially out in the beauty community. There has definitely been some ripples made out there. People are talking about cost of goods versus markup, and you know, people are coming around and learning that these makeup companies are making a ridiculous amount of money. And, you know, I think that's something that we all kind of knew already, but to get some perspective on exactly how much they're making, I think was an eye-opener for a lot of people. Other than that, watching the creative process and watching them name the shadows, come up with the packaging, all of the work that goes into that, the timelines, the stress, the anxiety of it all was just really neat, and I was definitely along for the ride. So I think that this series, it had an impact on these particular products that a typical launch wouldn't have. So people were invested in these products a little bit more than I think they normally would have been. For example, if Jeffree would have just come out with a new collection, here it is, it's a collab with Shane, or, you know, any other company out there would have just come up with a new collection, here it is, you know, I think they still would have done good. I think the response still would have been, you know, pretty good, but I think that the overwhelming response that they got was a direct result of everybody being so invested in these products because of this series. And there's a couple of reasons why I say that. Number one, the color story in the palettes is not a typical color story. It's not like a neutral palette, or, you know, even it really, to be honest with you, it's not like any other color story that I've ever seen. It doesn't really follow any kind of a theme. It does seem to be very random in the color choices for this. So I don't necessarily know how popular these items would have been if there hadn't been such a build-up because of this series, and if Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star weren't standing behind these products. Having said that, there were definitely some surprises for me when it came to the collection itself. I found myself liking a lot of these color combinations a lot more than I initially thought that I would. So let's go ahead and just dive in to the products that I personally got. Now, I was very fortunate. I happened to have a Morphe store really super close to me. My sister was down there before the store even opened, ready to go and get products. And one thing that was surprising was the Morphe store didn't have the entire collection. So they basically just had like the lip products, a couple of the accessories, and both palettes. Now, I personally didn't want any of the lip products. None of them were colors that spoke to me personally, and I have a lot of Jeffree Star's lip products and glosses already in colors that I actually wear. Unfortunately, the colors in this particular lip collection were not colors that I would ever find myself wearing. So I passed on the colors of the lips. Now, one lip product that I did get is the colorless lip product, and that is Shane Glossin, the gloss. This lip gloss was definitely, I just wanted to have a lip product to say that I had a part of the collection, and I wanted to see the packaging for myself and really take a look at it, and I love it. Honestly, it is just beautiful. It has like this gunmetal type of top on it, and it has both Shane Dawson's logo on it and Jeffree Star's logo on it, which I think is really super cool. And then, of course, it just says the gloss on the component itself. There really isn't anything spectacular or special about the gloss formula. It really is just mostly dimethicone in flavor, which is what most glosses are. There's not anything in here that makes it any different or more special than any other gloss out there. It is less sticky than a lot of glosses out there, which is very nice. And, it's just nice. It's just a nice lip gloss. It's just a gloss. That's all it is. So don't expect anything really fantastic. But again, the reason that I got it was because I wanted at least something from the lip collection. So I'll give you guys a close-up of the component here just so you can see what it looks like. And I am going to show it to you up against Jeffree's normal gloss packaging so that you can really kind of see the difference between the two. So as you can see, this is just a regular gloss, you guys. Again, the ingredients are simply dimethicone and the flavor and a little bit of eugenol, but that's, again, very standard. They do say that this is going to give you a fresh glazed donut look. It's juicy, delicious, iconic on its own or over any lipstick. And then, of course, up against the regular Jeffree Star gloss components, there are quite huge differences. Obviously on these we have the Shane Dawson iconic little logo there, which I think is amazing. I like the top being a little bit more masculine. It's got that gunmetal top as opposed to Jeffree's, which is like a little more gold with the pink accent. So I think this is very Shane Dawson. I think it's very masculine. It's very cool, and I like the component. So the gloss for me was a hit, but again, don't get it expecting this to be like some kind of phenomenal lip gloss. It's just a lip gloss, but it is pretty cool. Next, I want to show you the one makeup bag that they had there at Morphe that I liked, and that was the larger makeup bag. Now, Jeffree Star has these large makeup bags, and he's had them for quite a while. This is just one that has been like done with all of the Shane Dawson print and all of the little Shane Dawson details, which is what I really love. It has the little pig plaque here, and then of course all of the zippers, there are 2 zippers on this, have the little pig decals here, which I think are super cool. And then of course you have the pig and the star alternating when it comes to the print. These are really, really high quality. These bags that he has have always been very high quality. I wouldn't expect anything less from this bag in particular, but these bags are huge, you guys. They hold so much product. If you've never before checked out any of his makeup bags that are this big, I mean, they carry so much product. They have nice little pockets here in the back. They have a zipper in the lid, and again, everything is just really, really super high quality. So I'll give you guys a close-up of it here so you can really take a look at the detail. It's made out of like a very thick plastic, but it really feels like a leather almost. Again, this is very masculine. It's really cool looking. The detail on the zippers is so cute. I love the little plaque on the front of the bag itself, and then of course the print on the bag of the alternating Jeffree Star and the Shane Dawson pig, I think are just really super cute. So this is the one makeup bag that I got from the Morphe store. I did order one of the larger bags off of Beautylish, and then I did get one of the pig purses from the Jeffree Star website, but I have a feeling that that thing is going to take a while to get here because apparently they had a lot of orders and the shipping is probably going to take forever. So I will probably put on my Instagram when I get those two things. So if you want to see what the purse and what one of those big long makeup bags looks like, then just follow my Instagram and you guys will see those when they arrive. All right, so now to the main attraction. First, let's talk about the mini controversy. The outside unit carton looks like this. It's kind of staticky, like a TV static would be. I think that's really super cute. You know what? In watching the video series, they showed a couple that were actually like little TV sets, and the palette was like interactive with the TV, and I thought that was a really cute idea. I was really kind of sad to see that they didn't go with anything along that line, but I don't know. I guess this is cute. I mean, it's cute, but I don't know. I just saw some really super cute components in the series that I thought were very different and very interesting, and I would have loved to have seen him go down a little bit more of a creative road when it came to packaging for the mini controversy. This is the actual palette itself. I do really like the holo here. I think the holographic on the outside is really cool. But other than that, it's just, you know, a regular flip up mini palette. Just like Jeffree Star's Jawbreaker Mini, very similar. One difference on the inside is, again, you have the Shane Dawson and the Jeffree Star logos here, which I think is really nice. I love that. And then here she is. Here is the mini controversy palette. Now, all of the imprints are super, super cute. They're really, really detailed. Whoever Jeffree Star has doing his imprints inside of these pans, they do a genuinely amazing job. The detail on them is flawless. It's gorgeous. So in each corner, you have the Shane Dawson logo. In each corner this way, you have the Jeffree Star logo, and then in the center you have Diet Root Beer, and then you have teacups on either side, and then you have the crying eye on the middle top and the middle bottom. So definitely cute. I'll show you guys this palette up close here. So with 9 shades of course, the iconic eyeshadow formula that Jeffree Star has developed, the mini controversy palette is definitely gorgeous. It is designed specifically for an entirely different look than her big sister, the Conspiracy palette. It only has 1 shade in common with the Conspiracy palette, being the Diet Root Beer shade. So it does stand on its own. It is like its own individual palette. If you do want more of a travel friendly on the go type palette, then the mini controversy is going to be definitely more that type of palette out of this collection, considering that the Conspiracy palette is rather big and bulky. So if you're looking for something that is a little more travel friendly but with some really bold pops of color, then the mini controversy is going to be what you want for that purpose. Now, swatches. If you guys want to see what these colors look like in swatches, I'm going to go over those with you guys as well. I am just going to go ahead and swatch the whole thing so you guys can see them all at once and take a look at the color story. So we'll do that here. So there are a few standouts in this particular little palette for me. One of them is my boyfriend's purse. I don't think I've ever seen a more beautiful inner corner highlight color than this color. I mean, look at that. It just gives that inner corner such a beautiful lit up type of glow. It is a very unique color. I absolutely love it. It's like this, I don't know if it really shows up on camera as well as it should, but it's like this It's a very pearl type of color, but the reflect that it has in it is like, I don't know, it's like gold with, I almost want to say that there's kind of like a little bit of a green undertone to it, but not really. It's just, I don't know. It's so unique and so pretty and is the perfect inner corner highlight color. Cry on My Couch is a great brow bone highlight color. Diet Root Beer is going to be your transition color for the palette. Other than that, you have some pretty bold shades here. Controversy and Exposed. These two are really pretty on the eye. If you actually put this in the crease and then darken your outer V with this and run this underneath your lower lash line, it's a really pretty look. And the same with these two here. This simulation I actually like on the lid with just Diet Root Beer in the crease and just putting the simulation on the lid and running a little bit underneath your lower lash line, and again, good to go. With really bold colors like this, you can get a ton of different looks out of here, but you are going to have to push yourself a little bit outside of your comfort zone because it's definitely not a palette of neutrals. It is very colorful, and it's also, like I said, a very unexpected color story, but I think the mini controversy works upon first glance. When I looked at the mini controversy, I actually saw the vibe there and I could see how it would work. When I first looked at the conspiracy palette, however, I had a little bit of a different reaction. So this is the outside unit carton of the conspiracy palette. It does just slide out like this, and then the palette is on the inside. On the back, you have all the ingredients of all the different shadows, and of course, all of Jeffree Star's social media stuff back here on the back. And then the front just has the infamous spiral on it from the series. And then it says conspiracy here. So that's the outside carton. And then you just open it and here she is. This actually, from a component perspective, had a lot more detail on it than I originally thought. Just by looking at it in this series. So the one thing that I love about this is the amount of detail. So the clips here are just this beautiful gunmetal type of color, very similar to the gloss gunmetal. So I like how they kind of carried that theme throughout the collection, but I really love the clips. They're nice and coated, so they're nice and smooth. I love the shape of the box. I love how it's like this pyramid and it comes up like this. So I think that was great. I love this little middle amulet here. And I don't know how, if you guys can see, but I'll show you in the close-up. There is a little Jeffree Star icon. His logo is right here and it's pink. And I think that little detail is so cute, but I'll show you guys that in the close-up. So let me give you guys the close-up of the actual outside of the palette here. So you guys know they went through a lot of different palettes in this series. They went through a lot of different components for this palette. They went through some basic, you know, kind of chest-like looking palettes where it just opens with a regular lid in the shape of a rectangle, kind of similar to the Blood Sugar palette. And then, you know, they looked at a whole lot of different outside packaging type ideas. And this is the one that they settled on. It's in the shape of a pyramid, and I actually like it. I think this was a really good choice. I think the pyramid and the whole vibe of it is just really super cool. I love this. I think this was definitely the way to go with the packaging. And then of course you flip up your clips and you open it, and just like the mini controversy, the logo on the mirror, you have the Jeffree Star here and the Shane Dawson here, just like in the mini controversy. And then here she is. This is the beauty. Now, when I first saw the color story on the series, and when I first saw the color story on the palette, I didn't necessarily see the theme. I didn't see, like, it's called a color story for a reason. It's supposed to tell a story with color. You're supposed to, tell a story in a palette, whether, it has groupings in it, or whether it's neutral, or whether you go with more of a cool tone, or, there's always some kind of cohesive story that a palette will tell. And I didn't really get that with this until I really got it home and I started to play with it. And I actually swatched it out. Then I really kind of see all of these unique colors do make sense in a very unique and quirky type of way. And I think the best way for you guys to kind of see that and understand it is to look at these swatches one row at a time. So that's the way we're going to do this. Let's go ahead and get into the swatches here. And we're going to start with row 1. So in row 1, you have Ranch first, then My Pills, then you have Tanacon, Diet Root Beer, Just a Theory, and Spiraling. Just a Theory is one of my favorite shades in this entire palette. It's just this beautiful champagne-y color that I absolutely love. My Pills is a great underneath your brow bone highlight. It's just this really pretty dusty pink. Ranch is a gorgeous, just very shimmery, silvery white, which I absolutely love. And Spiraling is like this really pretty dark brown that has a little bit of a shimmer in it, but it's beautiful to use in your outside V to darken up any eye look. So one of the things about the top row, if you were to just cover up all the rest of the shadows and just look at the top row, it's a beautiful mini palette. You have your light colors over here, you have your transition shades in the middle, you have a beautiful shimmer shade for the lid, and then you have a beautiful dark shade here on the end to, kind of smoke out and darken up your outer V and just make your look really, really smoky. This row is stunning. I would buy that on its own. It reminds me a lot of the individual camo palette from Natasha Denona, where she has the small one that just has like 5 shades in it. The first row just reminds me a lot of that. So that row totally and completely makes sense to me, and it has some really pretty, unique, and gorgeous standout colors in it. So let's move on to row 2. So row 2, we have Conspiracy. We also have Pigment, which is a beautiful piggy pink. We have Food Videos, which is this really pretty kind of chartreuse. Then you have Trisha for Miss Paytas. Then we have Cheese Dust, and then of course you have Flaming Hot. Now, every palette has to have like that pop of color. So we're used to seeing like last year, the big thing was to have like a neutral palette with that one pop of pink or that one pop of blue. Well, think of this palette as having a whole row of pop-ofs colors. These are all very pretty pop of color type colors. I love them all individually for that reason. I think Trisha is probably my favorite out of this middle row right here. But I also really, really like Pigment because it is a matte pink, and I don't see a lot of just plain matte pinks anymore, and I can definitely use that in some different eye looks. Flaming Hot is a very like orangey type of a red. It's really, really a pretty red, but I think one of the most unique shades in this row by far is Conspiracy. It is, it's just that. It's like that conspiracy shade that has all of these different dimensions to it. It's very translucent, and then it just has this really pretty green gold flip to it that just makes it so stunning and so different. It's such a different eyeshadow. So again, if we were to cover up the top row and cover up the bottom row, which is going to be a little tricky, but we can do it. I just want you guys to see these rows individually because I think it makes it make just a lot more sense. So if we're just looking at the middle row like this, then you kind of get it. Like, it's this really kind of peachy pink row with a bright pop of chartreuse and this really pretty duochrome kind of shimmer shade here on the end with Conspiracy. I like it. as a row, it makes sense to me. It has like its own kind of theme. It has its own little story to tell. And then the bottom row is also a very interesting row, except this row is where you're going to really start seeing some really deep, very dark type of colors. Whereas your top row was a little bit light, and you have some of your transition shades up there, some of your highlighty shades up here. On the bottom row is where you're going to really start seeing the shades that you want to use in your looks for depth, dimension, those types of things, which totally makes sense to include those in a palette, but they're done in a very unique way. So let's take a look at row 3. So in row 3, we have What's the Tea, which is this really pretty minty type of a matte color. We have Diet Cola, which is just one of the purest silvers that I've ever seen. We have Not a Fact, which is a really pretty maroon burgundy type of a shade. If you do any kind of a pink look on your eye, this is great in the outer V to darken it up a little bit and give it some dimension. You have my second favorite color in this entire palette, which is called Sleep Paralysis. This very cool toned, I don't know, I want to call it purple, but it kind of shows up like a lavender. I don't really know how to quantify this shade because it is so different and unique. Then you have Illuminati, which is just this beautiful, deep, dark green that has this black base, but it's got like this kind of Christmas tree green going on. And then you have My Rides here, which is one of the darkest black mattes that I've ever seen. This is such a beautiful shade to do if you want to line your lower lash line or even line up here on your upper lash line. That is the shade to reach for. You can also use it in your outer V to darken up any look. It really is a beautiful, beautiful matte black formula. But Sleep Paralysis, out of that bottom row, you guys, it is just this, I don't know really how to describe it. It's just this beautiful lavender, silver, I don't know. It's so gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. And the formula is so smooth, these shimmer shades. So if you're like me and you have a ton of texture on your eyelids, Jeffree Star's shimmer formula has always been very mature lid friendly. And I think it's just because of all the emollients that he uses in his shimmer formula, but all of his palettes, all the way down to the androgyny palette, all of his shimmer shades are very, very friendly to crepey eyelids or eyelids that have a lot of fine lines and wrinkles, texture. The shimmer shades are splendid for people that have wrinkly old eyelids like myself. I just used the shimmers tonight. As a matter of fact, I have just a theory on my lid and I have Tanacon as a transition. I deepened up my crease with Diet Root Beer and then I put just a theory on my lid and just got a pretty everyday look out of this palette, which you definitely can do. So let's look at the bottom row. So this is row 3. And as you can see, it's just the darker shades in the palette. You have the beautiful silver and that beautiful teal, and then you have all of these darker, rich shades down here that I absolutely love. So for me, in order to really kind of get this palette and have this palette totally make sense to me, I really had to look at this palette kind of one row at a time. Looking at it all together can be a little overwhelming, I think, and it reminds me a lot of the Alien palette by Jeffree Star. I had to look at that palette in like little quadrants, and then it made sense to me. Looking at the whole palette was, I think I got a little overwhelmed, and this palette did kind of the same thing to me as the Alien palette did. But once I broke it down into rows, it totally makes sense to me why he chose what he did. This is definitely one of those palettes that you can use for, this is one of the more everyday user-friendly palettes that Jeffree Star has put out in quite a while. I mean, let's face it, with Blue Blood, unless you want to wear blue eyeshadow like every day of your life, the blood sugar one very pinky, very red. I mean, you're kind of stuck in those boxes if you get that eyeshadow palette. But this particular palette here really allows some versatility. You can just do an everyday look like I did with this palette. You can go really crazy and get some really bold and creative looks going. You can also you can really pretty much do anything because there are so many neutrals in here and so many really pretty shimmer shades for your lids. You have a lot of options with this palette, which is what I like. I love lots of options. But I mean, at the end of the day, if you're a fan of Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star, you're going to want this because you want this piece in your collection. It's going to be about collecting the piece, being a part of the history that was made with this series and everything that went on around the creation of it, and being genuinely invested in Shane Dawson as a person. That's, obviously a huge motivating factor for a lot of people when it comes to this particular collection. But from a practical application standpoint, the formula is flawless as always, as all of his formulas in his eyeshadow palettes are. Jeffree Star always nails it, no matter what finish it is, whether it's the matte, whether it's the shimmers, whether it's the duochromes, whether it's whatever it is. His eyeshadow formula he has that down pat through and through. It's an amazing formula. So from a quality perspective, it's spot on. The color story is very different. It's very unique and interesting, but it's incredibly versatile, which I think is going to make a lot of people happy because, it's not just going to sit on the shelf like maybe your Blue Blood is, or, I don't regret any of those purchases because I genuinely think that those are like pieces of art because the components are so beautiful, but I don't get as much use out of those as I would like to because the colors are just not every day for me. This is something I feel like I'll actually be able to reach into and use on a daily basis because it has enough in here that I can get everyday shades out of here, whether I'm doing day or whether I want to do something a little sexy for nighttime. Definitely be able to get whatever I need from this palette. So in that sense, I actually really like it, and I think it might be my favorite release so far this year from the Jeffree Star Cosmetics company. So conspiracy palette, absolutely Erica approved. Mini controversy, absolutely Erica approved. Shane Dawson, Jeffree Star collaboration, absolutely approved. They did a really good job. One other thing before we go, I do want to show you guys application of this look here very quickly, just so that you guys can see how application went. It's just a really simple everyday look, but I did want to show that you can do that with this palette because I think a lot of people looked at this palette and was like, whoa, what am I going to do with those colors? Once you actually dig in and you start playing, there's a lot you can do with those colors. So here's some application. At the end of the day, let me know what you guys think. That's what's going to be most important to me. Are you guys planning on picking up these products in the future when they do a restock? Did you have a chance to pick them up this time around? Have you stuck your fingers in them? Have you had a chance to play with them yet? Let me know down in the comment section below. I am dying to hear your thoughts. As always, follow me over on Instagram if you want to become a member of the approved crew. I'm over there, and follow me at Erica Approved on Instagram. If you're new here, welcome. I'm so glad that you came by. Just make sure you hit the subscribe button before you leave. Give this video a thumbs up because that helps out a lot. When I get in the pig purse and the other long makeup bag, I'll make sure that I post that over on Instagram. So for those of you that want to see that when it comes in, make sure that you follow me over there, and I'll make sure I do that for you guys. All right, guys, I think that is it. I think that breaks this collection down. Listen, I hope all of you guys, as always, are very happy and very, very healthy. And I will see you guys in the next video. Mwah.